Yes, welcome to Darasa Online again. It is economic session. So we have, it is economics. Now again, today we are going to have another revision in another topic. And today we are going to concentrate on the topic of theory of market. So our topic, it is the theory of market. Theory of market. Now, because this topic also, it comprises many subtopics, for today we are going to concentrate on classification of market, particularly on the issue of perfect market, and we'll check also on the issue of monopoly market. So today we're going to concentrate much on these two areas, that is the perfect market and the monopoly market. This is the subtopic we are going to concentrate today. Let's go direct to the topic, which is now we start with the perfect market. I know you might have covered this part, but still there are some problems, especially in distinguishing these markets. So we'll try to check the characteristics of perfect market, probably the advantage of perfect market. Then after looking on the monopoly, then we'll be in a position to differentiate between a perfect market and a monopoly market. Then in another session, we'll see another sub-markets. Now for that case, recalling back from what we did in the class, when we speak of perfect market, a perfect market is a market structure with a very large number of sellers selling a homogeneous product. So we say it is a market structure, it is a market with a large number, we say very large number of sellers and buyers selling homogeneous product. That is a perfect market. So it is a market structure characterized by a large number of, very large number of sellers, very large. So we can have some other market where we find maybe the sellers are many. There is large number, but not very. So it is a market which has got a very large number. If we compare the other market structures, it is where there is the largest number of sellers in the market. But another identical feature is that they sell or they supply homogeneous product. Homogeneous means identical product, the same product, similar product in the market. So large number of sellers, but they sell homogeneous product. This is perfect market. But also we can check some few features, of this market. Now the first feature, we have it from the definition. The first feature, we say there is very large number of buyers and sellers, or sellers and buyers. That is the first one. So it is the market structure where you can find a very large number of buyers and sellers, very large number of sellers. And as we said, the second characteristics, these people, they sell homogeneous product or commodities. It means the product sold in the market, the product which is supplied in the market to all firms, it is homogeneous, or they are homogeneous, meaning that these products, they are similar or identical. These products sold. So the products sold in the market, it is similar. They are identical to one firm and another one. That means all firms, they sell the product which is similar in terms of quality, in terms of color, in terms of everything. So they are identical products. That is number two. Number three, we say firms are price taker. When we say price taker, means an individual firm do not have power to influence market price. So they find the market price already set. So no single seller, no seller is allowed or will be having a chance to influence the market price. So we say they are price taker because no individual firm have influence on market price. That is the meaning. So we don't have an individual firm who can influence market price, because once you go in the market, you supply the goods, you find the price is there. So there is no room for an individual firm to manipulate or to influence the market price. Then we have number 4, which is we say there is perfect knowledge in the market. There is perfect knowledge in the market. What do we mean? When we say perfect knowledge, remember in the market, we have buyers and sellers. When we say the market has perfect knowledge, meaning that all buyers and sellers, they have complete information about the market situation. That means they know what is the price charged in the market, they know the quantities supplied in the market, they know everything. So it means the two sides, which is the buyers and the sellers, they all have complete information about the market conditions. So it is not easy for any side to have asymmetrical information. It means they have symmetrical information, meaning that there is perfect knowledge. They have all information about the market conditions. They know what is going on. They know the price. They know the quality of the product. They know the amount brought in the market. So there is perfect knowledge in the market. This is number 4. Then we have characteristic number 5, which is there is perfect mobility of the factors of production. Perfect mobility of the factor production. When we say perfect mobility, means factor of production can perfectly move from one industry to another, from one production to another, or from one occupation to another. And when we say perfect mobility, means a mobility which do not have barriers completely. Because in some market or in some situations you can find labor can be mobile but not perfect. But in perfect market is assuming that there is perfect movement. That means there is no barriers for labor to move, there is no barriers for capital to move, there is no barriers for entrepreneurs to move. So all factor production, they are perfectly mobile from one industry to another, or from one operation to another. Then number 6, we have there is no transport cost. Transport cost, that is one of the condition. No transport cost. It means on transporting goods from where they are produced to the market, firms do not incur transport cost. So no transport cost. And the last one, we can say there is no government intervention. That means, again, the assumption of this market, it is assuming that the market or the firms, they are operating in the condition where there is complete freedom and no government intervention in the market. That means issues about prices, issues about supply, issues about production, they are determined by the price mechanism. That means no government intervention completely. That means individuals, they have maximum freedom. Enterprises, they have maximum freedom. There is no government intervention in the market system. These are some of the features of the so-called perfect competitive market. But now this market, it is not existing in real world. We'll see it later on. But in this time, we can see some advantages which this market can bring in the economy. Though, as I said, it is not existing much in the real world. But still, there are some advantages if the market can exist in this situation where there is these features. So we check some advantages of this market. I want to check some advantages. Sorry, it is our subject economics. So advantages, 1, it is there is no, or we say little, consumers exploitation. in most time, consumers are exploited because of price. Sellers, they exploit consumers by setting or varying prices. But now, because in this market, price is constant, we say the firms are price taker. They do not have power to influence market price. So that one minimizes the possibility of these sellers to exploit consumers. So there is little or no consumers exploitation. This is one of the advantage. But the second advantage, there is high efficiency due to competition. Because firms, they compete to win the market, and because we say they are producing homogeneous product, so there is very high competition in the market. Now, due to high competition, there is possibility that you can find efficiency in the market. It will be high efficiency because of competition. Number 3, we have another advantage, which is inefficient firms may easily be eliminated. Inefficient firms may easily be eliminated. It means because of high competition, firms are competing. Those weak firms, so you can say weak firms, they can easily be eliminated in the market because they cannot be capable to compete. They cannot be strong enough to compete with those large firms. Now, for that case, those firms which they are weak, they cannot compete technologically or by any other means, then they'll find they can be easily eliminated from the market. This is one of the advantages of a perfect competitive market. But also, it has some disadvantages. Like, one, this market, there is limited freedom of choice to consumers. There is limited freedom of choice to consumers. Consumers' freedom is determined by varieties of commodity in the market. When the market has got varieties of goods, varieties of services, we expect that market to have maximum freedom of choice to consumers. But if the market have got limited goods and services, remember we said in this market there are many sellers. But these sellers, they sell homogeneous product. That means the product they sell, despite they are many, you can find maybe 1,000 firms in the market, 500 firms in the market, but they are selling the same product. That means they limit consumers to choose what do they want, because they have to buy from the same commodities. So for that case, because of homogeneous products, then firms limit freedom of consumers, because for consumers' choice becomes limited because of homogeneous product in the market. And the other disadvantage of this market is that this market, it can cause unemployment, or it can lead into unemployment. So it is very easy, or it is very possible for this market to cause unemployment. Why? Because we said due to high competition, there is possibility of inefficient firm to be eliminated. This one, inefficient firms are easily eliminated. It means these firms, despite they are weak, they have employed resource. They have employed labor, they have employed land, they have employed capital. Now, because of competitions, once these firms are eliminated in the market, once they collapse, probably they are going to cause unemployment to resources. They can cause unemployment to human beings in form of labor. They can cause unemployment to other resources like capital, but also they can cause unemployment to land. So probably once there is a collapse of this firm, it can lead into unemployment. So this is another disadvantage of this market structure. Now, having seen this one, because we said we want to compare this market and the other friend, which is monopoly, let's see in short a monopoly market before we try to attempt some questions. Now we move to monopoly market structure. Now a monopoly, so we go to monopoly market. Now from what we see there, monopoly. Mono means one. That is, mono means one. So when we say monopoly, we say a monopoly market is a market structure. It is a market structure with the only one, or you can say a single seller selling a unique good which or service which has no close substitute. You see, that is a monopoly. I said mono means one. So in monopoly, it is a market structure. There is only one seller. There is a single seller. And that seller is selling a product, a good or a service which has got no cross substitute. It means you cannot find the substitute for that commodity in the market. There is only one seller supplying. Let's say, for example, in Tanzania, maybe we have a market where only one person is allowed to supply that good, and no other person has been allowed. For that case, that one becomes a monopoly. Let's say, for example, we have the service provided by TANESCO. TANESCO becomes monopoly of supplying electricity in Tanzania because there is no any other company, there is no any other individual who has been given authority to produce and supply electricity in Tanzania. For that case, TANESCO emerge as monopoly. We have issues of those companies which they are also supplying water. Like we have the Dawasco, we have maybe and other company in different regions. You can find those companies that exist in different regions. Those, they are also monopolies of water because they have been given authority to supply water to the community. Now for that case, because they are the only supplier of that service or that good, then we say they become monopoly market. This is monopoly market. So there is only one seller selling a unique product which has got no cross substitute. Now let's see features of this market. Though we have seen some in the definition, but you can get some other features of this market. So we get one, we say there is only one, or we say the single seller. That is the first characteristic. It means for monopoly market to exist, there should be one seller, a single seller. And we say this seller is, there is a unique product or good with the no substitute. This is for the case of monopoly. So it is selling, or they are selling a good which is unique in the community, in the economy, and that good has no cross substitute. This is for the case of this one. Then another one, we say there is no distinction between the firm and the industry. There is no distinction between the firm and the industry. Why? Because we said the economy has got only one firm. There is only one individual who is supplying that particular good. There is no any other individual. So it means the firm and the industry, it is just one. Remember, an industry is a group of firms producing the same product. For example, let's say maybe textile industry. We have so many textiles in Tanzania. Maybe we have those Ulafiki textile, Morogoro textile, maybe Mwanza textile, Matex, and others. All of them together, they form textile industry in Tanzania because they are mainly producing the same product. But in monopoly, because there is only one, let's say TANESCO is the only firm, but also it's the industry because there is no any other firm. So for that case, you cannot differentiate between the firm and the industry. So they become one because the firm and the industry, there's no distinction between them. That is one of the feature of this market. The other one, I would say a firm is a price maker. Price maker. It means a firm has power to influence market price. It has the ability to influence market price. That is for the firm. So in this market, firms is a price maker. It means firm have power, have ability to influence market price or to charge market price depending on the production the way it is. So for that case, this is one of the conditions of this market. Then another one, the firm earns supernormal profit both in short run and in long run. So another feature of this market, monopoly market, this firm of this particular market, they can earn supernormal profit, or the other name of supernormal profit said abnormal profit, both in the short run and also in the long run. We recall back from your class, we said supernormal profit is that profit where total revenue is always greater than total cost. Now, if we produce and the total sales, they are greater than the total cost we have incurred, then this firm is getting supernormal profit. So it means in all particular time, because this firm has got market power to influence market price, has got market power maybe to create shortage for the price to go up. So because of that power, then you find all the time the monopoly will create total revenue being greater than total cost. For that case, this firm will be creating or will be getting supernormal or abnormal profit. This is one of the features of this market structure. Again, having seen these features of a monopoly market, let's check again the so-called sources, or we say the origin. Sources or origin of monopoly. It means here I want to see how monopoly rises. Where do we get monopoly? Or how do we have monopolies in the economy? Because these firms, they are, sometimes they're very important, but also they have their own disadvantages. Because, for example, one of the importance of these firms, they are very useful in supplying essential goods. For example, in Tanzania, as we said, TANESCO is an example of this monopoly. They are very essential in supplying those electricity, because if we make electricity to be supplied by many people, they can create problem, because electricity is essential or water is essential. That's why we give it to the hand of the monopoly. So they are very important. But now, what is the source of this monopoly? What are the origin of this monopoly? So we can trace some sources of monopoly like this. One, we have the legal protection. Legal protection. That means some monopolies, they can rise because of legal protection by the government. They can be protected by the government. That means these are monopolies which they exist because they are protected by the government. It means the government forms barriers of entry. Remember, we didn't explain it there, but barriers of entry is one of the features of this market. There is no freedom for new firms to enter. So they can rise because the government may create legal protection for them. For example, TANESCO. TANESCO is not getting competitors because it has been legally protected by the government. That's why no one is allowed to produce and supply or distribute electricity around the community, because TANESCO has got that responsibility, and the existence of TANESCO has been protected legally by the government. That is by law. The law is protecting them because they are a public monopoly. For that case, no one is allowed again to produce and supply electricity in the economy. For that case, this is when we speak of legal protection. The second source of this market of monopoly, we say it is through patent rights. Patent rights. Patent rights, this is a right given to someone as the only producer of that good. For example, maybe you have introduced your good, which other company or other individual cannot produce. Then you can enlist the government to give you a right that I'm the only producer and supply of this good. For example, let's say Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has a patent right of supplying Coca-Cola, of which nobody else has that right again to produce Coca-Cola. So it means Coca-Cola has a patent right of producing and supplying Coca-Cola, of which no other individual, no other country, no other firm can have that right again of producing and supplying Coca-Cola. That is patent right. So some firms, they exist because of patent rights. Number three, the source, we say, we have this one called the ownership of strategic raw materials or technology. Can use it. Ownership of strategic raw materials or technology. It means a firm may emerge as monopoly because of owning strategic raw materials or technology. It means it can happen that firm A owns a technology which is allowing him to produce goods which others cannot produce because they don't have that technology which A is owning. So that technology can give power of this one to emerge as monopoly because that technology is giving him or her a room to produce that good which others cannot produce because they don't have that technology. So technology will give room for this firm to emerge as monopoly because of technology. On the other hand, we said strategic raw materials or resource. For example, a certain country or a certain individual can own a certain resource which other country or other individuals do not own. Then they emerge as a monopoly. For example, we have, let's say, Tanzania. Tanzania is owning Tanzanite, of which other countries do not have. For that case, Tanzania becomes monopoly of Tanzanite just because of owning that strategic raw material or resource. So because this resource, Tanzanite, is not found any other in the world, is not found any other in the place, then Tanzania is emerging as monopoly because of owning that strategic resource. So it means Tanzania, we are monopoly of Tanzanite because we cannot find it in other countries. For that case, this is the third source of monopoly. So another source of monopoly, we say, number 4, we have the so-called trade protectionism. Or we say foreign trade barriers. Trade protectionism, or we say foreign trade barriers. Sometimes the government can impose some barriers for importation of some goods from outside. Remember, when goods are imported from outside, they increase competition with goods produced domestically. So once they find that those goods imported, maybe they are causing negative effect in the economy. For example, some industries, maybe they are declining or they are collapsing because of that competition. The government can impose some trade barriers so that to protect domestic industries and domestic firms. Now, when these protectionism policies are imposed, for example, maybe by using tariffs or by using quota or any other method of protectionism, we expect these domestic producers to emerge as the only producers. For example, maybe firm B, this firm has been producing maybe good X. Now this good, it is also imported. It means part of this good is produced by firm B in the country, but part of this good is also imported from other countries. Now, for example, let's say X1 is imported from other countries. So it means good X, it is available in the economy from two sources. Produced by firm B in the economy domestically, but also X1 which is produced or imported from other countries. Now, assuming that the government is going to impose tariffs or to impose protectionism policy to reduce or to stop importation of this good. It means once this good has been protected to be imported, it is no longer imported. That is no longer imported X. It means this X which is produced domestically will remain as the only produced by B. So B will emerge as monopoly because the competitors from outside have been eliminated by trade barriers. Now for that case, firm B will emerge as monopoly in the economy because the other competitors from outside have been eliminated or have been removed by trade barriers. So again, trade protectionism, international trade, can create domestic monopolies by trade barriers. Number 5, we have natural monopolies. These are monopolies which they emerge due to economies of scale. So here we speak of economies of scale. Economies of scale. It means they are monopolies which they emerge or they rise because of economies of scale. Economies of scale, it means a firm which is producing with declining average cost or with declining cost. That is economies of scale. We remember we said in the class, economies of scale, these are benefits which a firm is enjoying when the cost is declining per output. It means the cost of producing each output is declining. For example, now, if there are maybe firms, let's say we have 4 firms, firm A, B, C, and D. These are firms producing, let's say they are producing good N. This is a good produced. Firm A, B, C, and D, they produce good N. But now, let's say firm C is producing at lowest cost, Now, because firm C is producing at lowest cost as compared to other firms, it means still firm A, B, and D, they produce at higher cost. It means this firm C will defeat others just because of producing to the lowest cost. For example, now, this A can eliminate himself in the market, B can also be eliminated in the market, and D can be eliminated in the market because they cannot compete with the C who is producing at the lowest cost. For that case, because of eliminating others, then firm C will emerge as monopoly because of defeating others, because firm C is enjoying production at the lowest cost of production. Now, for that case, firm C will be a monopoly, but defeating others because of economies of scale. And this one we call them as natural monopolies because they rise due to economies of scale. That is source number 5. And the last source, we have the so-called takeovers and mergers. Takeovers and mergers. It means some firms may emerge as monopoly because of takeovers and mergers. What is takeover? Economically, when we say takeover, this is a tendency of one firm to buy another firm and emerge as one firm. That means we have firm A and B. They are producing the same product. Then firm A have decided to buy the organization plus the inputs, all what is used by B. That means he is wishing to eliminate B from the market. Then how am I going to eliminate B? I have to convince him to sell to me all of its either shares or whatever it is used in production to stop producing. So after buying these items which were used by this firm B, it means firm B will get out of the market, then firm A will emerge as a monopoly. So this we call is a takeover because you have taken over for this firm B and it is no longer in the market, then we emerge as a monopoly. The second case when we say it is that is mergers, or to merge means to join. This forms when different firms join together to form one firm. That is merging. For example, we can have maybe firm A, firm B, firm C, they produce the same product or they produce the same good or the same service. Now this firm, they want to join. That means on joining, they form a new firm, which maybe it is called D. But now D has been formed by combining A, B, and C. Let's say, for example, maybe in Tanzania, we have those people producing, different companies producing maybe cement. We have maybe the Twiga, Mbeya Cement, Tanga, and others. Then they sit down to discuss. They want to join to form one cement industry, that is firm. Now, once they join together, they eliminate their differences, then they join one firm. Now this firm will emerge as a monopoly because of joining of different firms. So different firms, they have joined together, then on joining, they have formed the new monopoly, which is firm D. These are some sources of monopoly. That is for this case. Now we get for a short break. Then after that short break, we are going to attempt some questions which will be seen there. Thank you. So welcome back after the short break. Now we can solve some questions here. So try to observe from the screen there. We have 3 questions. Question number 1, it is asking, perfect market is an idealistic market structure which cannot exist in real world. Justify this statement using examples. Perfect market is an idealistic market structure which cannot exist in real world. Justify this statement using examples. Now, the question number 1 here for this case, question 1, it is asking that perfect market, PCM, perfect competitive market, it is idealistic. When we say something is idealistic means, because that is the base of the question, means something which is too much ideological. It is not existing in reality. That is idealistic. We think about of it, but it is not existing. We can think that this is something existing, but it's not there. So it means this question is asking how to prove that this type of market you have covered, perfect market, it is a market you study, but in reality, it is not existing. So we have to prove, is it not existing? Now, a perfect market, as we said, some of, if not all of the features which we explained, they are features which in reality, they cannot exist in the real world because of the following. So we are going to prove it by using those characteristics of a perfect market, which we are sure that in real world they cannot exist. For example, number 1, reason 1, we say it is not possible. It is not possible. Possible to have a market with the identical products. Not possible. It is not easy that you can have a market. Remember, perfect market assumed that it is the market which firms are selling homogeneous or identical product. Now, for that case, it is not easy to find such a market in the real world that you find in the market there are maybe 20 firms or 100 firms. Then they are selling unique. They are selling homogeneous. That is not possible. But also, not possible to have market with no transport costs. Not possible also. That we have a market where firms do not incur transport cost is not possible. Such market cannot exist. That's why it is idealistic. The other one, there is no perfect knowledge in the market. It means we cannot have a market with perfect knowledge. We said in perfect market, there is a perfect knowledge because consumers and the sellers, they have complete information about the market situation. We don't have a market of this tendency. Try to recall, you have a market there in the street where you're living. Is it possible that in the market, those sellers, they have all the information about their buyers, and you as a buyer have information about what is going in the market? Let's say, for example, in Dar es Salaam, we have the largest market, which is the Kariakoo market. Is it possible for sellers to know what is going on, all of them, but also for buyers to know what is going on all the time? So that idea is not true. It is not true to have perfect knowledge in the market. But also, firms can not be price takers. That all the time firms are price takers. They do not have freedom. They do not have any power to influence market price. It is a market which is also not realistic because it is not possible to find a market where there is firms are always price taker. They cannot influence market price. Such market is also unrealistic. It is also theoretical. So perfect market is theoretical because of this. But also, not possible to have market with no government intervention. Such market cannot exist. That a market where there is no government intervention. Remember, the government is there to make sure that there is a balance between the consumers and the producers. Now, when we say a market, it is assuming complete freedom of no government intervention. We don't have such a market in the world. Even in pure capitalist countries, you cannot find such situation where the government cannot completely involve itself in the market. It is not. That's why, for example, even in Tanzania, we can find sometimes prices, they can be set free by demand and supply, but the government is there to intervene. For example, we have some instruments which are used to control price in Tanzania. For example, EULA. EULA is there to control price. So you cannot say the market is just free, completely free, while EULA is there. EULA is there to regulate, to control, to make sure that the price set in the market is not harming producers, but it is also not harming what? Consumers. So it is there to balance between consumer and producers. There is no possibility to have a market with no government intervention. Number 6, it is not possible to have a market with a very large number of sellers. Such market cannot really exist in the world. That a market with a very big, very large number of sellers and they are selling homogeneous product. It is not possible also to find such market in the world. But also, the idea of free entry, a complete free entry and exit. This is one of the characteristics of this market, that firm can freely enter into the market for new firms, but also the existing firm can leave the market free. So that is not possible also in the real world. So these ones, they are showing that this market is unrealistic because the features explained, they cannot be found in the real world. Though this market is very important in showing us how competition should exist in the market. And this is very good for studying other markets because it is a foundation for how competition should exist in the market. This is for the case of the first question. The second question, question 2, there from the board, from the screen you can see it is asking, John is a supplier of commodity X. He wants to maximize the sales revenue through price discrimination. What would you advise him for his goal to become successful? John is supplier of commodity X. He wants to maximize the sales revenue through price discrimination. What would you advise him for his goal to be successful? So it means you'll call from what we did in the class, what is the price discrimination? And this firm, John, has a goal, is wishing to maximize sales by price discrimination. Then for the goal to be successful, you as economic student, as economist, what are you going to advise him? It means here, because of discrimination, let's recall from the from class, price discrimination, we said, price discrimination is a tendency or practice of a firm to charge different prices on the same commodity to different customers. That a firm is charging different prices on the same commodity to different customers. That's price discrimination. It means they say this firm is selling a bottle of water. Now, the first customer is buying that bottle of water at 500 shillings. Then once the second customer comes, he's going to buy at 700 shillings. That is discrimination because the same single bottle of water is sold to different customers at different price. Then this is price discrimination. Remember, before we go, how we can advise him, price discrimination occur in different types. Remember, you can make discrimination maybe according to age or sex, where in this case you can find the discrimination is basing on age or basing on sex. For example, basing on age, when we use this public transport like daladala, you find the students that are paying 200. Then other people, they are paying maybe 400, but they are getting the same service. That is discrimination. Why a student should pay 200, while he or she is going to Gongolamboto, then the other individual is paying 500, going the same route. This is discrimination. In terms of sexy, remember, maybe for women are favored than men. For example, in these night clubs, when you go to night clubs, you find they say ladies free. You go there in the night club, you get the same service, but ladies are not paying. Or if they pay, they say maybe boys or men, they have to pay 5,000. Then ladies, they pay 2,000. That is discrimination because they are going to get the same service inside there, but they are being discriminated. This is according to age or sex. Then we have maybe even according to use the commodity. For example, here, the case of TANESCO International, said TANESCO is a monopoly. They also discriminate according to use. For example, some goods or some consumer, they take goods maybe for industrial use, while the others for domestic use. So automatically, you will be charged different prices. For example, even in TANESCO, if you use electricity for industrial use, they are charged different price from those one whom they are using domestically. That is discrimination. You can also discriminate according to personality. Personality, the way you see the person, personality. You see, for example, this person is appearing well, appearing good in a shining suit. Then you charge high price. The next person comes, is appearing rough, then you charge low price, because assuming that that one with a suit is well off economically or maybe in income, that one who is appearing rough is not good economically. So charge different prices. But also you can charge different price according to place. You say the same good maybe in 2 locations. The other good is sold maybe in Kibaha, the other one in Ubungo. So in Ubungo you charge another price, in Kibaha you charge another price. So these are some of the ways or forms of price discrimination. Now, if you want to advise him, it means you have to advise him to make sure that the conditions for price discrimination is going to exist. It means your advice will base on the condition of price discrimination, because John is wishing to maximize sales by price discrimination. So you have to advise him to make discrimination. There should be some conditions to be fulfilled before making discrimination. Some of those conditions will advise him they are like these ones. Let us list them, some few here. Like these ones. For example, number 1, you should tell him, that means John should be a monopoly. Because let's say a monopolist. Because price discrimination is only possible when the market is existing on the hand of monopoly. And if he is a monopoly or a monopolist, then the second condition, you can advise him that the product X, which John is selling, should not have clause substitute. That is the second. So make sure that if you want to maximize sales through price discrimination, for price discrimination to be successful, make sure that the product you are selling has no clause substitute. Then number 3, the product should be sold in separate market. So tell him, make sure that if you want to make price discrimination, make sure that product X is sold in 2 separate markets. As I said, maybe the first market is in Dar es Salaam, maybe around Ubungo. The second market is maybe in Kibaha. They are in different locations. Then you can make price discrimination. This is avoiding the customers to meet and to know that they have been discriminated. Number 4, make sure that the cost of separating the market is low. The cost of separating the market is low. That is 1. Then the last one, the elasticity of demand in the 2 market. Should differ. That means elasticity of demand for the commodity in the 2 markets should be different. What do we mean? It means we have maybe in market A, we have in market B. If in market A, the demand is elastic, it means here the price should be low automatically. Because remember, in elastic demand, a smaller change in price results to a greater change in quantities. Now, to avoid losing sales or to avoid losing your profit, you have to lower price to attract more customers. So in the market where demand is elastic, charge low price. Where demand is inelastic, you charge high price. That is, the elasticity of demand for the commodity in 2 markets should be different. Where the demand is elastic, you charge low price, and where the demand is inelastic, you charge high price. Then these conditions will make the goal of John to maximize sales revenue through discrimination to be possible if discrimination has considered these conditions. This is for the case of question number 2. Now, question number 3, which is, why do you think advertisement is not necessary in a perfect market? Why do you think advertisement is not necessary in a perfect market? This question will be used as a homework for you. Go and try to describe from different source, books, notes, or any other source. Try to check what are the reasons as to why advertisement is not so important in a perfect market. We have covered issues of perfect market. We have seen the characteristics. We have seen how does it look like. Now, why do you think advertisement is not necessary in this market? Go and try to measure and explain those factors you see they are making advertisement to be not important issue in perfect market. This is the end of our lesson. Study hard and keep struggling. Thank you.